In this video, we're going to compare the Cloudlifter Cl-1 against the Triton Audio Fethead. Both of these pieces of equipment do exactly the same thing. They're an inline preamp. They're also known as a mic activator or a mic booster. In this video, we're going to talk about how a mic activator and mic booster work. We're going to go through the specs of either one of these devices, and then we're of course going to do a practical demonstration of the Cloudlifter and the Fethead before getting to my recommendation as to which one I recommend for you in your home studio as being the best value. Now, for the purposes of today's video, we're using the Shure SM7B along with the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. I think both of these pieces of equipment together provide the perfect environment for an inline preamp like the Cloudlifter or the Fethead, because the Shure SM7B is so hard to power and the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 is one of the most popular audio interfaces on the market, but it is also just a little bit underpowered for the Shure SM7B, so it's where we're likely to see a very big difference when we apply an inline preamp. If you are looking for pricing or specs for anything that you see in this video, the microphones, the stand, the interface, the piece of equipment that we're comparing, the Cloudlifter or the Fethead, we do have links down in the description below from a variety of online retailers to make sure that you are getting the best price possible. Now, just to make sure that we're all starting from the same point, let's talk about the pros and cons of an inline preamp. So what does an inline preamp do? An inline preamp will supply somewhere between 20 and 30 dB of clean gain in addition to what's coming from your audio interface or audio mixer. This is really helpful if you are a little bit underpowered on the audio interface with a heavy microphone like the Shure SM7B. What does that mean in practical application? If you take a close look at the audio interface here, you'll see that I'm at 98% on the gain knob here. If you look over at my computer here, I'm just going to reset my peak. You can see that I'm peaking right now at about -18 when I'm speaking naturally. I'm about 2 fingers away from the microphone. It's pointed directly at my mouth. So it's about as good as it gets in terms of microphone setup and microphone placement and talking at a natural volume. Now, I am just a little bit short. Generally, when I record a video like this, I prefer to be somewhere around -12 dB. Again, you can see right now I'm peaking at -18.4. So I am quieter than I want to be. But I can't turn it up anymore because I'm fully maxed. Also, if you have your headphones on, you probably hear a good amount of static coming from the preamp on the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. This is because it is past 90%. It's working way harder than you're supposed to work a preamp, so you do get more noise, and your signal to noise ratio is a lot worse because of that. So by adding an inline preamp, we're hoping that we'll be able to turn this down and we'll get a better signal to noise ratio. We'll get rid of that kind of hiss sound from the background, and it'll improve the quality of your recording. Now, another benefit amongst just powering hard to power microphones like the Shure SM7B or ribbon microphones or anything like that is it will actually help protect your microphones too. There's not a real big risk of damaging a dynamic microphone like the Shure SM7B from something like phantom power. Any modern, balanced, dynamic microphone is impervious to this type of voltage going through it. It just kind of ignores it. But if you have a ribbon microphone and you accidentally send 48 volts of phantom power to that microphone, you can easily damage it. So an inline preamp will actually eat up that extra voltage. It'll consume that voltage and protect your dynamic or ribbon microphone from phantom power. So if you're in a situation where you're using a Scarlett 2i2, and maybe you have a condenser microphone and a ribbon microphone, you have to have 48 volts of power turned on in order to power your condenser microphone. Then you risk damaging your ribbon microphone. But if you put something like an inline preamp in between the interface and your ribbon microphone, it'll protect that microphone for you. Now, one con or two cons for using an inline preamp is one, they are not helpful at all for a condenser microphone. In fact, it'll make it so your signal chain does not work. Again, the inline preamp will consume that voltage. The 48 volts of phantom power won't go to your condenser microphone, and your condenser microphone won't activate. The other downside, we've already kind of covered it, is that it does require 48 volts of phantom power from your audio interface or audio mixer in order to power your mic activator so you can get more clean gain to your microphone. All right, before we get into the practical demonstration, let's take a quick look at the specs between the Cloudlifter Cl-1 and the Triton Audio Fethead. First of all, the Cloudlifter Cl-1 will give you 25 dB of clean gain. This is a ton of clean gain. As you'll see in the upcoming demonstration when we connect everything here, that makes a world of difference when you're using an audio interface like the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. The Triton Audio Fethead has 27 dB of clean gain. Now let's look at these numbers. You might be looking at this and say 25 versus 27. That's a little bit of a difference, but it's actually close to 10% more clean gain from the Triton Audio Fethead. So that is a pretty big difference when you look at it in those terms. 2 dB is significant when you're comparing a difference of inline preamps like this. Next, both of these inline preamps require 48 volts of phantom power, and both of them only work for one microphone at a time. You can get a 2-channel version of the Cloudlifter. You can get the Cloudlifter Cl-2, but for the purposes of this video, we're just comparing the two 1-channel versions of these items because that makes the most sense, and that's what most people are actually interested in buying. Next, if we take a look at the pins on both of these inline preamps, you'll see that they both have silver pins. Silver pins are high quality, good, and studio grade. There's nothing wrong with them. They will give you every bit of signal that you need. But compared to something that has gold pins on it, gold pins do generally provide more corrosion resistance and will last longer. But we're talking like the difference between like 20 and 25 years instead of like silver pins are still good. There's nothing wrong with them. I do just like pointing it out when I make these comparisons. But the Cloudlifter and the Fethead both have silver pins, as you can see here. Next, in terms of frequency response, the Cloudlifter Cl-1 has 20 Hz to 200 kHz, and the Fethead has 10 Hz to 100 kHz. This is more than sufficient. It's outside the range of what we typically record in a home studio. Usually in the home studio, you'll record something like 20 Hz to 20 kHz. So either way, you're covered with either one of these devices. The frequency response from either one of these is definitely more than adequate. And it's really not, it's a moot point trying to compare them to see which one is better because they're both so good. Next, we come up to two more big differences. As you can see here, the Cloudlifter Cl-1 is pretty blocky and chunky. It's quite a bit larger than the Triton Audio Fethead here. That can be inconvenient at times because you can't connect the Cloudlifter Cl-1 directly to your microphone. For the best result possible, you want to connect your inline preamp as close to the microphone as possible. If you're using the Triton Audio Fethead, you can in fact connect it directly to the microphone because as you can see here, the connection is based to go right into the microphone. Also, if for whatever reason it's more convenient for you, even though it doesn't quite do as good of a job, you can actually connect it straight to your audio interface as well. When we look at the Cloudlifter Cl-1, because it's so blocky, you actually need 2 XLR cables. You need to connect your microphone to the Cloudlifter, then connect your Cloudlifter to your audio interface. So for that reason, it's a little bit annoying because you do need that extra XLR cable in order to make it work. And last but not least, when we're comparing both of these, we of course need to talk about the price. Now, prices do go up and down. There's all kinds of sales, all types of times a year. So do check the links down in the description if you want to find the current up-to-date price from a variety of online retailers. But for the purposes of this video, when we're filming, the Cloudlifter Cl-1 is about $70 more than the Triton Audio Fethead. Now keep in mind, it's $70 more out of the box, but you also need another XLR cable because we just talked about the form factor difference. You can connect the Triton Audio Fethead straight to your microphone, but you need 2 XLR cables to make the Cloudlifter Cl-1 work. So not only is it like $80 more, but then you also need to go and buy another XLR cable in order to make it work. And I do think that's important to consider when we're talking about price. Next, let's show you how to connect an inline preamp. As we said before, you can connect the Triton Audio Fethead straight to your microphone or straight to your audio interface. For best results, you want it straight into the microphone, but you can be flexible. For the purposes of this video today, we're going to connect both of these units in line. So we're going to go XLR cable to either one of these units, one at a time, and then we'll take another XLR cable and connect the unit to the audio interface. Let's quickly show you how that works now. Just going to bring in a second microphone so you can hear me talk while I do this. You unplug the XLR cable from the audio interface, so this is coming from the microphone. We're going to connect this to the Cloudlifter Cl-1 to start with, and then from there, we're going to grab another XLR cable and connect the Cloudlifter Cl-1 into our audio interface. This is pretty straightforward and easy to do. You can follow it with your eyes here. Now, as we said at the beginning of this video, the Cloudlifter Cl-1 will not work unless you turn on 48 volts of phantom power. So I'm going to turn my gain down and turn on 48 volts of phantom power. I can turn up the gain here on the audio interface until I'm getting a level that I need. I can look over at my computer now and you can see that I'm peaking at about minus 13.7 and we're at about 55% on the gain knob, where before we were at like 98 or 99%. So that brings us to our next point. Let's talk about and review the Cloudlifter Cl-1. Look at the gain knob on the audio interface right now. We are getting 6 dB more on the computer. Right now I'm peaking at minus 12.4 and we were peaking at minus 18. So we're 6 dB louder. And the gain knob is turned down to 55% where we were all the way up at like 98 or 99% in order to just get level out of this microphone. That is a massive difference. And that's the whole reason that you would get a Cloudlifter Cl-1. Now, not only does the Cloudlifter Cl-1 save you a ton of gain on your original preamp, it will reduce the noise because you've reduced that gain from your preamp, so it will sound better. But the Cloudlifter Cl-1 is the most popular device in this category. If you talk about inline preamps, the name Cloudlifter is often synonymous with inline preamp, mic booster, mic activator. A lot of people don't even know that other options exist, like the Triton Audio Fethead. So it is important to note that there is something behind the fact that this is the market leader in the category and it is the most popular. That being said, there's a lot of things that I don't like about it. I don't like the form factor. It's huge, it's chunky. It doesn't really like fit on your desk when you have all this set up on your desk. You end up having it on the floor underneath your microphone or something like that. The form factor is just less convenient. And the difference of 25 dB compared to 27 dB, which we'll take a look at next, makes a really big difference. Let's connect the Triton Audio Fethead now so we can compare it to the Cloudlifter Cl-1. Okay, now I've connected the Triton Audio Fethead instead of the Cloudlifter. Now when I set my gain here, you can see I'm actually quite a bit hotter than I need to be. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. You can see here that we're about 10% less than we were before. When we had the Cloudlifter Cl-1, we had our preamp here set at 55%. And now that I have the Triton Audio Fethead connected, the preamp is set at about 45%. So that's another 10% savings. So you get 10% more headroom on your preamp. So that would presumably mean less noise in your recording while getting the same result. If we look over at my computer here, you can see that I'm peaking at minus 14.2. So I can turn this up just a little bit to get to that minus 12 mark. And this should get us close to where we're trying to be. That was too much, minus 9, somewhere like there. So that it does make a pretty big difference. We can see that the Triton Audio is giving us more clean gain than the Cloudlifter did. Now we also do need to bring up and recover the other factors, like the form factor is better. You need one less XLR cable because you really should be connecting this inline straight to your microphone. There's nothing wrong with the way that I've done it now, but there have been others on YouTube that have done more testing and then you do get a better result having it right up next to the microphone. So what is my recommendation when we compare both of these devices? If we look at the fact that both of these need 48 volts of phantom power, they both do one channel, they both have silver pins, it really comes down to two things when we compare them. They both give the same quality in terms of sound quality and acoustics and all that stuff in your recording. The two main differences that we need to look at is the form factor. One is huge, one is a little bit more discreet and you can have more options. Two, another thing is one less XLR cable is required for the Triton Audio Fethead. And actually three, the Triton Audio Fethead is about $80 less. So in my mind, if the quality is the same and the form factor is better, it makes the Triton Audio Fethead an obvious pick over the Cloudlifter Cl-1. Even though the Cloudlifter Cl-1 is the market leader, it's the most popular, it's the original, it's the biggest one in the category. For me and my friends, if I had to compare both of these and make a recommendation, I'd say get the Triton Audio Fethead. Every single time you get way more bang for your buck. You can almost buy two of these for the cost of one Cloudlifter Cl-1. And that's a massive difference in a home budget when you've already bought a Shure SM7B or some other recording equipment or another dynamic microphone that you're trying to make work a little bit better. Again, if you are looking for pricing or specs, we have links down in the description below. If you have any questions about either one of these devices that we did not answer in this video, please leave a comment down in the comment section below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.